Hey guys, A Million Card Tricks here, and today we are going to do something very different than what you are used to seeing on my channel, but I think it will be a very fun video regardless. I've seen this done by a few other magic YouTubers before, but it hasn't been done in a while, so I wanted to come back to this idea and see if it has improved in any way over the last few years, especially now that AI and ChatGPT has gotten a lot better, a lot more intelligent over the last few years. And I'm very curious to see if it has done any more training in terms of the magic knowledge. And I want to see if it can help create or help me think of ideas for card tricks. I have absolutely zero expectations for this, and I genuinely don't know what to expect. But yeah, I have my deck of cards right here ready to follow along with all of ChatGPT's instructions. And I have ChatGPT pulled up right here, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So as you can see, I only have the free version of ChatGPT. I don't pay for the full version, unfortunately. Perhaps the paid version would result in better things, but as of now, I'm just trying to test this as if I was, any average person on ChatGPT. So I'm curious what it will do if I just ask it to create a card trick for me. How about we do original card trick, an original card trick for me. Let's see what it comes up with. I have absolutely no idea what this will be. Okay, all right. The borrowed thought effect, what they see. Spectator shuffles the deck themselves. They freely peek at a card and remember it while the deck is in their hands. Without touching the cards again, you name the exact card they're thinking of. Okay, let's see. That sounds a bit impossible at the moment, especially if the cards are in their hands. But let's take a look at how ChatGPT is going to use the method here. So there's no setup, it's impromptu, it works with any deck. There's a force and a control. Spread the cards face down and ask them to say stop as you riffle or dribble. Okay, so I think it's trying to tell you to do a riffle force. When they say stop, lift the packet and show them the bottom card of the top half. Wait, hold on, I'm so confused. Remember their card yourself as you show it to them. This is the key. They think only they've seen it, but you have too. How am I supposed to look at this? Well, I guess, okay, if I was doing a normal peek of my own, I would use a dribble force like this, and I would peek the card before I actually show it to them. So what I would do is I would dribble through the cards, and I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but as I dribble through, I can very clearly see the identities of all these cards in the back. So I just have them say stop, and I can already see if I lift up with my thumb that this is the King of Hearts. So I already know I can turn my head away. So now supposedly I have no knowledge of this card, but I already know it's the King of Hearts. So that's how I would do that. But anyways, okay, so you know their card, and here's the convincer. Immediately square the deck, hand it to them, saying, hold the cards tight, I don't even want to touch them again. Okay, so now the reveal, build up by pretending to read their thoughts, draw it out, mention the color first, then the suit, then exact card. Wow, that's kind of exactly how I like to do it. And then name their card with confidence. So, I mean, yeah, that's basically a simple little peek and a reveal. I wouldn't really call that like a very original idea that's been around for many, many generations. Some presentation ideas, mind reading theme, pretend you can see micro expressions on their face as you narrow it down. I actually really, really do like using this because it plays into the idea that you're like a mentalist and that you can read their facial expressions. I tend to get really good reactions out of that type of presentation. So do you want me to make this trick self-working, no sleight of hand, relies on math principles, or would you prefer something with a visual flourish? Ooh, how about we do both? I'm curious to see what happens when we do both. Okay, self-working and a visual flourish. Okay, so here's a self-working version. Spectator shuffles the deck. Okay, they secretly pick any number from 1 to 10. They deal down to that number, look at the card, bury it back in the deck. After a little shuffle, you tell them exactly what they chose. Okay, so without looking at the method, I already do know a version of this trick, except you do it with a number between 10 and 20, because there is a mathematical principle where if you have them choose a number between 10 and 20, let's say 13, they deal 13 cards, and then you have them add the digits of that number, whatever it is, 1 plus 3 would be 4, and you take the 13 cards and you deal 4 back onto the deck, and then they look at that card, and you already know what the card is because it is a force of the 9th card from the top. This works with any number between 10 and 20. If you have the force card in the 9th position, they can choose any number between 10 and 20, and this method will work. But let's see how ChatGPT does this with a number between 1 and 10. So they shuffle, and you're gonna casually peek at the bottom card. Okay, and that's your key card. All right, so Jack of Clubs is my key card. Ask them to choose a number between 1 and 10. They deal that many cards from the top, look at the card they land on, and place it on top of the packet. Then they drop the rest of the deck on top, burying their card in the middle. Okay, got it. So this is a very simple key card effect where basically it doesn't really matter with the number between 1 and 10. They can honestly choose any card in the deck at this point, and then you can just like take half the cards, put them on the table. They take the card, put it down, and then you take the rest of the cards, placing the key card directly on top of their selection. So now when you look through the cards, I'm looking for that Jack of Clubs, and I already know that their selection is the 7 of Hearts because this is the card that it was right next to the Jack of Clubs. So because with this type of effect with a key card, they truly can choose any card in the deck. It doesn't have to be one of the top 10 cards. So that just feels a little bit like limiting in the presentation. Okay, but now I'm really curious to see what the visual version of this is. Pop out revelation. Okay. Spectator picks a card, places it back in the deck. With a snap, their chosen card jumps out of the pack and pops into the air. Okay, great. So if I were to not look at the method real quick and just do this myself right now, what I would do is I would have them pick a card. Let's say the Ace of Hearts. You're gonna control this card in the deck. Here, I'll stand up. You can control this card to the top of the deck as you are shuffling. And now once that card is on top of the deck, you can do a top shot like this to shoot their card out, or you can also do the long distance spinner, which looks something like this, where you shoot the card out of the deck. So there's multiple ways to reveal the card by shooting it out. But let's see how ChatGPT describes how to do it. So control their chosen card to the top. Okay, great. Or just shuffle and keep it on top secretly. Hold the deck in your right hand, thumb at the inner edge, middle ring finger at the outer edge. Okay, use your forefinger to press down and spring the top card. This is describing another version of the long distance spinner. They call it the pop out move. I don't know if that's the published title of it. I know in essence how to do it, but I really can't do it for some reason. I've tried for years, but essentially you scrape your finger down the card and then it's supposed to kind of pop off and shoot like this. It's a move I've just never really taken the time to practice. I personally just prefer this version. I just think it looks a little bit easier, and also that's just what I'm more used to with muscle memory and everything. Now you've got two effects: the number knows, self-working mental miracle, and pop out revelation. Practice drills. Yeah, let's see some practice drills. Yes, please. I'm very polite with ChatGPT because I know it works very hard. So let's see the drills that it gives me to practice these tricks. Interesting. Okay, drill steps. Key card peek drill. Shuffle. Glance at the bottom card naturally while squaring the deck. Practice this until it feels casual. This is a very common technique that I do. Here, I'll show you exactly what it looks like, where I actually prefer to do this with a riffle shuffle. So they shuffle the deck like this, and as I square up the deck, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees so I can actually get a glimpse at that bottom card, and then I can continue to square it up like this. And it fully just looks like I'm turning the deck and making sure all the edges are squared up, but in the action, I'm getting a peek at this bottom card. Reveal practice. Instead of blurting the card out immediately, practice building suspense. Name the color, then the suit, then the value. Repeat until your reveal feels smooth, not rushed. I actually really like this tip. If you're gonna take away anything from these drills, this one would definitely be the most important, especially if you're doing a mind reading style trick. If you just say the card immediately, they're gonna think that you knew it beforehand, and that's not really gonna feel like real mind reading, because real mind reading, it's gonna take place in steps. And first you're gonna get the color, and you're gonna get it in pieces, and you're gonna name the suit, then you're gonna name the value. What I like to do is go through all the values from ace to king, and I tell them to try not to give any reaction when I pass your number or value. And this is just kind of a fun little moment between me and the spectator, and it makes them think that they might like blink or something during their number. So it's just a really fun little thing that I like to do. So yeah, definitely don't rush the reveal, keep it slow. I'm gonna give it something more sleight heavy. So can you make a brand new card trick that uses a lot of sleight of hand? Okay, let's see what it does with this. Okay, whoa, Shadow Switch. That's a pretty sick name. Okay, here's the effect. Spectator freely chooses a card, places it back in the deck. You lose it in the middle with no funny cuts. You show a different random card, say the 7 of clubs, place it visibly face up on the table. With a wave, the card on the table visually transforms into their assigned card. Okay, that does sound pretty impossible. There's a lot of ways to do this on the deck. If you are using a color change, like the Cardini change is basically that, except the card is on the deck in your hands and not exactly on the table. So I'm curious to see how ChatGPT is going to solve this with the card on the table. Let's see. Okay, use a force so you know the card. Okay, alternatively allow free choice and then control it. Control to the top. After they return the signed card, use a pass. Double undercut or side steal to control to the top. Okay, great. So that's your first slight moment. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this real quick. So let's say they choose a card. I'm not gonna force a card. Let's just say it's the 4 of clubs. Then we can have them put it in the middle and we could do a little classic pass right here to control it to the top. All right, now do a double lift to show that the next card is the 7 of clubs. So I'm just gonna prepare that on top. So here we have 7 of clubs, pretending like this is on top. Turn the double face down, deal the top card face down to the table. Okay, so pretend this is on the table. And now visual change, hold the supposed 7 of clubs, actually second card down with a top change, or perform an Erdnase color change right under their noses? Huh? Now you show the card is changed into the signed card. What do you mean? I already have the signed card right here. I don't need to do anything else. The double lift was the switch. Do an Erdnase color change right under their noses as if it's like a secret move, as if the Erdnase color change isn't supposed to be like looked at, which is really funny to me. For kicker impact, hand it to them immediately so they see the signature. Oh wow, as if they couldn't already see it when you turn it over. That's, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, this isn't like extremely sleight heavy. It's just control to the top and then a double lift. And then it tried to throw in like a top change and an Erdnase color change, even though those were completely unnecessary and not at all useful to this method whatsoever. This is just a very simple double lift switch trick. There's nothing really to it. Also, I don't know what the name shadow switch has to do with it, but okay, cool. That's great. Okay, I'm just gonna type in something really random. Can you make up the most impossible card trick ever? Let's do it. Okay. I imagine something where the spectator feels like they made every single choice. The deck is ordinary and there's no way you could know or influence anything. I do like the sound of this so far. The deck that knows you. The deck is shuffled by the spectator. They cut the deck anywhere. And remember the card they cut to. No one else sees it. They shuffle again, burying the card wherever they want. Without you touching the deck again, you spread the cards across the table. One single card is reversed in the deck, and it's the card they thought of. Well, this sounds a bit impossible if they are the ones holding the deck for the entire trick. And according to this spectator POV right here, you literally never touch the deck. So I'm very curious to see how this is possible. Why it feels impossible. They shuffled, they made all the cuts, you never touched the deck. The reveal isn't just a name, it's the card visibly turns over. Yeah, okay, I'm fooled already. So let's see how this is done. Okay, so there's a setup for this trick. Beforehand, reverse one card in the deck. Say the Jack of Spades. All right, so let's reverse this card in the deck. That's the setup. Shuffle deck principle. Have the spectator shuffle the deck freely. Reversed card stays reversed. It doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter when I give them the deck and they shuffle, and then they're gonna be like, whoa, what's this? Okay, I guess they don't care. Next, use a riffle force or a classic cross-cut force so they believe they cut randomly, but you actually know their card. There's a couple problems with this. If they shuffle the deck freely, I can't have any control over that card at the moment, especially if they're the ones holding the deck at this point. Also, the card is face up. So even if, let's say I did control the card and the card was on top, the card is face up. So how am I supposed to do a riffle force or any type of force with the card being the opposite direction in the deck? That does not make any sense whatsoever, but okay, cool. Let them shuffle again. Their card is lost, but you already know it. Great, okay. Invisible switch. Spread the deck on the table. As you do, casually square and execute a half pass or turnover pass to reverse the forced card secretly in the spread. Now the only reversed card is their thought of card. The math is not mathing right now. What the hell happened to this card? This card is just forgotten about now. I'm so confused on what's happening. I'm just at a loss for words right now because I don't really know how to go about this. This is not possible. And the method it's giving is complete gibberish. This is just nonsense. Okay, but the climax, slowly spread the deck fully, one card is reversed. Let them pull it out, confirm it's theirs. Great. Okay, so this is completely nonsensical. This just does not add up whatsoever. The setup for the trick, this Jack of Spades, has nothing to do with the trick, and it just adds a whole nother issue. I think if that setup line was completely removed from the trick, then it would maybe make a little bit more sense, because then you can have the spectator shuffle the deck, and then they can, you can force whatever card or have them pick a card, and then you can somehow control it and do a half pass to turn it over like this. And that would make a lot more sense. It would be a bit difficult to let them shuffle the deck, but I suppose you could have them pick any card, let's say like the King of Clubs, and then you can always just palm this card out of the deck as you give them the deck to shuffle, and now you can, reverse this card in your hand as they're shuffling. When you take the deck back, you can simply place it on the bottom and then cut it into the middle, and now you can spread through the cards and their card will be the only reversed card in the deck. So that's like one way to do it, I guess, but that's not exactly how they described it, because they want the spectator to shuffle everything and have the deck in their hands the whole time, even though step number 3 is using a force, which the spectator can't necessarily do in their own hands. So I'm a bit lost here, not really sure what's happening. So most of the tricks, when I ask it, are simply going to be pick a card, figure it out types of tricks, but let's challenge ChatGPT with another plot. Let's do Triumph, for example. So can you give me a method to do the Triumph card trick? Let's see what it has to say for that. Okay, so no setup. They choose a card and you control it to the top, and then you're going to do a false shuffle. Use a small block shuffle. Divide the deck into 2 halves, turn one half face up. Riffle shuffle them together so it looks chaotic, but you retain the top card on top of the face down section. Spread the deck briefly, showing random face up, face down cards. Pretend the deck is confused and chaotic, but it is. Okay. Square the deck and say a magic word or gesture. As you lift the deck, secretly flip over the half containing the chosen card. Whoa, okay. Cards appear to have magically all corrected themselves. This is very not correct. Spread the deck face down slowly. This is like maybe the worst one I've seen, to be honest, because this is telling you to do the secret move while all the heat is on you and on the deck. So that is like probably the worst advice you could probably give to a magician, because you're supposed to do the secret stuff before the reveal, but this is telling you to do it during the reveal where everyone is looking at the cards. You say the magic word and then you do the half pass or whatever. Like, what? That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to do that before you snap, and then you can pretend like it's real magic and it looks like you haven't done anything. So that's just wrong. Just completely wrong. But everything else here is not horrible. Everything else here is somewhat correct. The only other thing is that it did say to turn half the deck actually face up. So if I were to shuffle these cards, then it's not really giving an illusion of anything. I really am shuffling these cards face up and face down, which, in the ideal Triumph card trick, that would be the best case scenario, would be to actually shuffle the cards. But most of the time, that's not what's happening. All right, I think I've had enough of ChatGPT's nonsense. This is getting a bit too brain rot for me right now. I feel like it's gotten maybe a little bit better. I mean, it's definitely like saying terms more or less correctly, but it still doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially when it's describing the method. It's very convoluted and it's contradicting itself a lot, and it seems to sometimes like forget certain steps entirely, and it will give methods that are not necessary, and it will provide extra sleights that you shouldn't be doing, kind of like the double lift example where it was telling me to do a top change or an Erdnase color change for literally like no reason at all. Like something that didn't have to be done because the trick was already over. Like I already had the selection in their hand. I could just give it to them and there we go. But like it wanted me to do all this extra stuff. So it's interesting. I wouldn't use ChatGPT as a resource for learning card tricks necessarily. However, I do think it is nice for maybe little spurts of inspiration. If you're really struggling to think of specific ideas, You can get some general sort of concepts from ChatGPT and maybe just get some presentational ideas from ChatGPT. However, I would never ever take method advice from ChatGPT. I would definitely go to a real human being for that aspect. But if you just need some quick little inspiration or a quick little idea, I would maybe consider using it just to brainstorm certain things. But anyways, this was a lot of fun, and I am honestly a little bit more impressed than I thought I would be, just because the layout of everything is, very, very nice, and the details are very nice, and everything is just a little nonsensical is all. But yeah, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this fun little video. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to comment for more and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, see you guys for the next one. Bye.